Hello, friends, and welcome to Locally Sourced Jams. I'm your host, Beau Roblee, and today with me is a very special guest, Joey Dudas. Say hi, Joey.
How's it going, Beau? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. It means a lot. Joey is a good friend of mine who I've known for quite a few years. He's here to talk about his story. And Joey, just for anyone who doesn't know you, maybe give a quick little intro about yourself.
Well, I'm a drummer here locally. I've been in the scene for a while now, I guess. If you've been to any local show here, I'm probably the weird guy with the long hair wearing the spandex in the front row.
That does describe Joey perfectly. I'm actually a little disappointed he's not in his spandex today.
I should have worn them, actually.
It's a beautiful day out. I think people deserve to see your legs. I'm just saying.
And anything else.
No one deserves that. So, Joey, Locally Sourced Jams is just a conversation with musicians about their journey up to this point in music, how it was, why they're still doing it, what they get out of it, how it's affected their lives. And to start telling your story, we got to start at the beginning. So when did music switch from something that you're listening to potentially something you could actually do, some music you could make?
Well, I think in high school, all my friends were going into the music department, and I kind of wanted to follow suit. So I started on the trumpet. It was horse shit on the trumpet, like just bad.
Too many notes for only three little buttons. Doesn't make any sense.
I like the idea of it, but the mouthpiece was small. I've got a big mouth and big lips and other things, but it was hard for me. And my music teacher kind of saw that, and I think he was sick of telling me to blow harder every practice.
Teachers shouldn't say that.
Everyone giggled.
Only the music teacher is allowed to say that.
It was embarrassing. It was always a joke. But eventually I moved from trumpet to trombone because of bigger mouthpiece. I played in jazz band for a bit. I was a little better, but honestly, I wasn't practicing. I didn't really care. I wasn't too into it. Like, I was there for my friends and something to do. And then I went from euphonium, which is like a smaller tuba type thing. It sits on your lap, and then I played tuba for a bit. And eventually, I think my music teacher, David Fryer, rest in peace, he was a great man, he eventually sat me down one day, and he's like, well, he grabbed his bass guitar off the shelf, and he was a bass player as well, and he's like, hey, like, try this. He's like, I think you'd be good at this, like, try this. So I sat in his office for a little while, and kind of diddling on his bass, and he's like, I think you'd be good at this, like, let's start over and try this.
So did you feel a connection to the string instrument right away?
I did,
the brass?
Oh, yeah.
In your mouth? Or
I think it was a lot easier. Like
I completely understand. I started with trombone before I moved to string instruments, and I blew my lips out trying to get to, like, literally split a lip once, and I just, like, I don't get this. And then my brother played sax, tried to do sax, I just chewed on the reed and everything. So, yeah, I felt an immediate connection switching from.
Yeah,
But I don't regret my time playing the brass instrument. It taught me to read.
Yeah, reading music for sure. I think I could still do that. I haven't.
Tabs are easier, but yeah.
Yeah, tabs 1, 4, 4, 5. Yeah. No, but eventually I was moved to like the upright string bass, which I loved.
Okay.
In concert band, with the bow, without the bow. That was I miss that still to this day, actually.
Really?
I don't play bass much anymore, but if I could jump on a string bass again,
I didn't know that about you.
And do that in like a psychobilly band, that'd be nuts. I'd love to do that. That's something I wouldn't mind doing.
Any psychobilly bands out there?
Yeah, buy me a
double bass up for grabs.
Yeah, so I think that got me into more things, and I started listening to a lot more punk at that time. I started going to a lot more local shows at that time. So I think like everyone in the music program wanted to play bass or drums because no one really wants to play the flute.
They want the quote unquote real band instruments.
Yeah. And if you're joining the music department, like especially like some of the guys that came in on drums and stuff, you're not playing drums. You're playing
Tiffany's, you're playing a single snare or percussions, and you're smacking cymbals together or something.
So deep down, I always kind of wanted to do that. But
there's that one jazz drummer that actually gets to drum.
Yes, there's one guy in the whole school that literally gets to play the drums.
I get it.
So, no, bass was fun for me. So I started going to a lot of local shows. About in grade 10, I started hanging out with a lot of the older kids, like the grade 12s. And there's a group of them that I hung out with and became good friends with. They were in a band at the time, Oppose the Hero.
Okay.
So I used to go to a lot of shows with them.
We're talking about Slack specifically?
Mike Slack and all those guys. Yeah. And they became good friends of mine. And that's kind of how I started started drinking, like, underage. and
trying to be cool.
Fun.
Trying to be cool. I get it.
Yeah, hanging out with the old kids, and it was good times. So watching those guys play for a while, I'd like to say I was their biggest fan at the time. I was the kid moving around in the pit and stuff, and it was fun. So I think then that's when I wanted to start my own band or get into something, right? Like watching those guys do it, and like they weren't great, and they weren't bad. It was something that I thought
they were fun.
Yes,
they were having fun, which made you have fun and want to do it.
Yes, and that was kind of my goal. I was like, hey, I want to play local shitty shows like these guys, right? Okay. I used to travel with them when they played Vancouver or Langley and stuff. I'd go with trips with them to shit. So I think that was kind of my goal at the time. I wanted to play a show.
So you've been a super fan. You followed this one group around all over Lower Mainland. When did it switch from just being the fan to wanting to actually be on stage? How did you make that transition?
Well, it was a couple of my buddies at the time. We all started playing. Well, I was playing bass first, but then my buddy Nathan, I think, started playing guitar. My buddy Tim started playing drums, and then we had our friend Levon, who was actually pretty good at guitar. He had a book of cover songs, we would play, and we started playing like Ramones covers and just easy shit, right?
Wow, fun.
Oh, yes, but
don't badmouth the Ramones.
No, but super easy to play.
Yes, not very technical.
Yes. So we started doing that together. Levon's dad, I think, played too, so he had a good jam space, so we'd go over there after school and play. So I think our first show that we booked, it was a backyard birthday party.
Love it.
Okay, and we were supposed to play first. And I think Oppose the Hero was actually playing this show too. We were supposed to play first, and I can't remember what happened, but somebody wanted to jump ahead and play first. And we're like, yeah, okay. Like, we're brand new, and we're like, yeah,
schedules don't really stay.
We'll go after you. And we were super nice, just kind of hanging in the background because we didn't really know anybody. And so the first band goes on. Second band's like, well, we were supposed to play after them. So like, yeah, okay, just go. So we, eventually by the time we were going to go on, the cops came.
Lovely.
So the cops came, shut the party down. So we never actually got to play.
First show didn't actually go through.
Didn't actually play. Packed all our gear there. Everyone used our gear. One of those. So we're like, okay,
that just sat in your own nerves.
That would have,
for however long.
Oh yeah. So that never happened. So, we still practiced, and eventually I think we booked a talent show, okay? Like the Optimist Club talent show. We played that. No, we played, I think, 3 Ramones covers.
Nice.
There's 3 bands in that talent show. We came 3rd out of 3 bands.
Nice.
So, and I think shortly after that, we just kind of did our own thing and kind of dropped the band.
Okay.
So then there's probably about a year in between. Another friend of mine, I think we were in personal planning class, and he was a singer, and another Levon, actually. And I think he saw some ad on MySpace at the time of two kids from Hatzick Secondary that wanted to start a band. They were a guitarist and a drummer. So Levon, he knew I played bass and he sang. So he was like, hey, let's go meet these guys after school.
MySpace,
yeah.
MySpace was a great resource for local bands.
Is it still around?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, there's probably something there, but it's not a resource for anything.
But that was the thing in high school. It was definitely MySpace.
Yeah, I do recall.
Yeah, so we met with the 2 guys from Hatzick, Darren and Matt, and we started a new punk band called Level Betty. So we did that for about probably 2 years. We played a lot of shows. Do I remember our first show there? No, not really.
The Rockstar Lifestyle.
Yeah. We played a lot of, church basements and we actually played a lot of school dances at the time and stuff like that. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. The one I do remember is we played a little hole in the wall in Langley called the Endoplasm. It was a little cool venue. It probably doesn't exist anymore, obviously, but we actually opened for Oppose the Hero. And so this was
you followed around.
Yes. Yeah. So this was kind of after, like I said, that house party that didn't play off with my first band. So this was you were showing
these guys what you can do.
This was the gig. I don't think they actually watched us play. I think they were in the parking lot drinking. But
support local guys.
That was kind of the goal at the time, and we played a good show. So that was a highlight for me. I think my grandma came out to that show too. She got to see her first Mohawk in person, and her first mosh pit. I had to explain to my grandmother what a mosh pit was.
Why are they fighting in front of the band?
Yeah. Is that how they dance? Yes, Grandma. That's
slam dance.
That's how we dance. Yeah. So that was fun. We had a lot of good times doing that. And eventually, I think all the politics out of being in a band together and I think I was the only one that smoked pot. So I think that became a problem. After 2 years, I just wasn't into it anymore. I don't think, just wasn't meshing out.
For sure, it wasn't working anymore.
It wasn't working.
This led to a bit of time off music?
Yeah, I took quite a bit of time off after that.
So we're putting you probably around 17, 18 years old, somewhere in that bracket?
Yeah, grade 12.
So the band, politics within it, kind of left a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you put music down.
I did.
How long would you say you put music down for?
Probably like 3 years.
And is this a complete, like, I ain't touching this bass? Or is it, I will pick it up, and I'll pick up my guitar, pick up my bass every once in a while just to strum?
I think I just stopped playing. I just stopped playing bass. After high school, I stopped playing.
Put it away.
Yeah.
What brought you back out?
I started playing drums.
So you put the bass, was it that bad? Like, this experience was that bad that you didn't want to go back? Or did you just crave something new?
I was just kind of overplaying the 4 notes and, in a pop-punk band, like...
Bass in punk. I mean, you can be really good, but you have to fight to show how good I can be.
I needed a little bit more creativity, I think.
Oh, okay.
Instead of being told, hey, like, sit down, play these notes.
So this was, Big Brother guitar player just telling you, like, I need the C, the D, and the A.
As much as I love the dude, yes.
Got it. No, that it happens. It's right. That's part of the dynamic of a band. It's hard to write when you have a very specific vision in your mind. To get other people's input on that is difficult to receive. So I would get it the same. Anyone writes a song, anyone writes any bit of it, you hear it a very specific way in your head. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time, the bass just has to rock the E string because that's what is required of the song. And I do understand that can be boring after a period of time, especially if you're given no outlet for your creativity.
Yeah, I think I turned it on stage, and it was fun to watch on stage, and I had a good stage presence with my bass guitar, but I wasn't happy with really what I was playing.
And no one tells a drummer what to do other than the time. So that's a legitimate transition for someone who wants more excitement.
So I went onto the drums. I started playing with Darren again from Level Betty. This is years after.
Okay.
With a good friend of mine, Dan Miron, who's a guitar player but decided to play bass for us. And I think we started with a house party. We just played covers and whatever Darren had in the vault.
Yeah, just a jam band.
I think we played like a New Year's party and like a house record type party.
Love it.
But I was literally just learning drums. I played in a electronic kit, doing Sublime covers and Tom Petty covers and stuff like that. Just learning. I wasn't great. So I think once we started, kind of Darren wanted to do more of his original stuff. And I wasn't really practicing. I was just like, hey, I'm doing this for fun, like drink some beers, like smash on the drums. And
were the other members of your band starting to take it a bit more seriously?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to play some more shows other than house parties, and I wasn't really too into it. So I think we played another like talent show type thing at UFB, and honestly, we bombed it. It was bad. Maybe I bombed it, right? And it was probably one of the worst shows.
You live and die as a team, though.
Yeah. And I think that one kind of got to me as if, like, maybe, I'm just a self-taught drummer. I don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm a little over my head here.
Okay.
And then I remember Dan, who's a great buddy of mine, he sat me down. He's like, hey, man, like, if you're not going to practice, like, I don't think we can do this anymore.
Which is fair. It's hard to hear, but it's a fair statement.
So I think that bummed me out a lot to the point where I was like, well, maybe it's back to the bass. So I stopped drums at that point.
Picked up the bass again.
They got another drummer. They played a couple shows and eventually disbanded. So now, a couple years later...
So that we would put at maybe like 2008, 2009?
It was probably like 1920.
So yeah, somewhere in 2009-ish.
Yeah.
And so a couple years from there, so now we're putting at like 2011?
I was probably, 21, just coming off a pretty devastating breakup at the time, with
which is when your best writing comes, when your best musicianship comes out, with a broken heart.
And probably one of my best friends forever, Lindsay Noah, we'd get drunk and he played guitar. Maybe I should jump up and try the bass again. So I ended up going out and buying a 5-string Ibanez bass. Because Lindsay's like, let's start a metal band. Like, we've been playing punk for years. He was too and stuff. Like, let's start a metal band.
I mean, punk kind of flows right back into thrash, which isn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
Let's be a little louder, a little faster.
So I went, I got a 5-string, which was great. So my love for the bass kind of came back.
Rekindled.
With that extra string.
A little more
pretty
freedom
swanky,
to do with
pretty swanky bass guitar. So that's how Slaughterhouser started.
I remember this vividly.
And wow, you were the original vocalist in Slaughterhouser, so that's it's coming first circle here.
I do definitely remember the early times in Slaughterhouser. But I was never there while you were playing bass.
No, okay, so probably...
I didn't see you. The bass player is who brought me in, I think.
Okay.
But I do recall, I've heard some stories.
So we eventually got Ty on guitar. I think Lindsay met him at a coffee shop. And he was like an older dude, been around the block, was playing in bands probably when we were in diapers. Right? So we brought Ty on board, and we had a couple drummers come in, and I had a drum set in my basement. So we had a couple drummers come in, and we probably did that for a couple months, and we didn't have a drummer that stuck around.
Couldn't find one that fit the band.
So eventually, I was like, you know what, guys? Like one day I just jumped on the drums and we were jamming our songs. And then Lindsay looks at me and goes, hey man, like that's not bad. Like why don't we get you a double kick? Let's get a double kick and try this out. So I said, okay, sure.
Let's do this.
So, with the help from my friends, I was like, okay, let's actually sit down and practice this. So I remember when I first got my first double kick pedal, like I sat there for a long time trying, because it was hard at first.
Did you feel that you were writing, or the music you were playing was a bit more upbeat and aggressive, was actually just encouraging you because you had a bit more freedom and to try things that triggered you to wanting to practice more?
I think so, yeah.
And so it was specifically the music you were making led you to want to be better.
Yeah, and I think Lindsay had a big part of it too. He was probably my biggest cheerleader at the time. So as much as like I get down on myself sometimes, and obviously as you can tell from my journey so far, I kind of give up.
Yeah.
And if it's hard for me or I don't get the response I want, I'm just like, oh, fuck this. Yeah, I bail out.
So having someone in your corner who was pushing you was beneficial. And it sounds the same way with your original music instructor.
Yeah.
You were trying, but you weren't really trying. And he kind of like, here, this is probably better for you, and I'm going to make sure you keep trying. So that's cool. You found what works for you. You need a level of support. The band got, you work together. You guys got a double kick pedal.
Yeah.
So you're practicing tons. How does progress?
At the time, Lindsay and our friends in, I guess at the time, Armada, they turned into Bears on Film. We would go to their jams a lot because Dan from my last band, he joined them. So we'd go and sit and watch them practice and whatnot. So I think me and Lindsay, we kind of wanted to emulate that. We see them playing shows and doing the metal thing. So I think that's kind of how Slaughterhouser started too.
Just to accompany another band that you guys were
our buddies playing the same kind of music, and we're like, hey, we trying could do to do the metal thing too. Yeah.
And in the same way, that is like you just said, you're someone who needs kind of a bit of a support group.
Yeah.
And having a support band seems like a great idea.
Watching them do it, I think kind of like, hey, like maybe we could do this
too.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
So eventually, I think we got Corey to come play bass for us.
I was living with Corey at the time.
Yeah, so I think that's how eventually we got you.
Yeah. I was very drunk. Lindsay came over, and I'm the cockiest person on earth after too many whiskeys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can do the vocals in a metal band. Then had to figure out what the hell that meant.
Yeah. I think it was that night. We're like, well, okay, well, I guess you're our singer now. I guess the band's complete.
Yeah, that just a couple whiskeys formed that group.
Now, the one thing I do regret about Slaughterhouser at the beginning is I do think we rushed it.
100%.
100% rushed.
So shaky.
Because I think you, me, and Lindsay went to the Wolf Bar, which is a great bar, by the way. If you've never been, it's in Maple Ridge. Little hole in the wall, but they have some great shows. So we used to go watch a band called Brauheist.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Remember those days?
I do.
They were a great band.
Legendary local act.
So I think we were there. We probably only had, 2 songs in Slaughterhouser's pocket at the time? Maybe.
If that. Maybe. I would say one quality, and then, quality in quotes, for us. And then one that we got 70% of the time we got through it,
maybe.
I would say.
We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Not even enough to think about a show.
Straight rookies.
So here's me at the Wolf, probably high on cocaine, talking to the promoter at the time. I'm like, yeah, we got a band. Like, we'll play a show. He's like, you guys ready in like 3 months? Yeah, sure, let's do that. I remember, I think you looked at me like, are you serious? I'm like, 3 months, man.
I was also probably pretty inebriated. I remember the next day not knowing if that conversation actually happened.
Yeah.
And the problem with Lindsay is he is the most assured person I know.
Yeah.
And he will, this is the best idea ever, guys. Like, and he's so convincing. Like, he's a hard man to say no to. Well, he's just so positive.
I think that night we watched whatever opening band opened for Brauheis that night. Garbage. So I think me and Lindsay looked at each other and go, well, fuck, we could do that.
We're better than them.
Yeah, we could do that.
Which we weren't.
No, probably not.
But we thought we were.
But people liked us.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, maybe somebody will come watch us. So it took us 3 months and we had a deadline for the show. So what did we do? We sat down and we wrote some shit.
That's true. We did spend a lot of time in that small room.
A lot of it got cut.
Yeah.
Throughout the years. A lot of it was filler for that show. But remember that first show?
I do. It was us. It was like a band called Crime City.
No.
That was
our first one was with Bears on Film.
And
our buddy band. And Glimpse of Mutiny.
Glimpse of Mutiny. That's what I was. They had
Yes.
I do recall their singer was phenomenal. I was so overwhelmed with how good he was.
Phil, yes. And he eventually went into Witch of the Waste. And yes, no, those guys were, we were playing with the big boys that night. And we had a great turnout. That bar was full by 8 o'clock. We went on first. The bar was packed for our first show. And we had no business being there.
No, not at all. two, one fairly established band.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'd performed in like Fox Seeds at the time or Adstock.
And Bears on Film have played some shows.
Yes,
before
they'd been, like Corey talked about his first show at Rio.
Okay, yeah.
Rio.
Yeah.
They played actual places. And that night was intense.
Yeah. Nerves were real. I think you probably puked in the bathroom once before that.
I puked a lot.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that. This is about you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So this was almost like a second coming for you.
Yes.
Like this, as much as you had played bass and you'd been on shows, this is a new instrument,
this was my real
new
first
genre
show.
Music, and something you, for the first time, feel are like you're part of this. This is something you really care about.
This is, the most important first show.
Quote unquote, this is more real.
Yes.
How'd it feel? Like, what was going through your mind before you went up?
Oh, I was nervous as all hell, man, but we had fun. All our friends were there. Like, we had a crowd. We had support. No, it was great. I remember somebody recorded that show, and we probably watched it 200 times after that.
That's true. I do. I want to say Alex Penner.
Alex Penner.
Shout out to Alex Penner. Yeah. That footage, I can barely watch it still because I find everything I do is
looking back on it now, it's a little cringy, but
at the time on stage, that was still probably one of the highlights of my entire life.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
It was amazing. You are a huge part of that. Part of what I find you on stage, especially when you play drums, your facial expressions are phenomenal. The amount of joy and sometimes distress and whatever emotion you're trying to convey is so evident on your face. It's intoxicating. Like, I turn around and make eye contact with you, I can't help but grin. Because you just look so excited to be doing what you're doing.
I've been told that I'm fun to watch. I don't know. I honestly black out when I play. I don't pay attention. Like, I don't know what happens at a show. I've got like my fucking horse blinders on, and I'm not there.
This
I'm like
is
out of body
8
experience.
years of playing, and you're still
yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow, that's. I mean, I got close to. I talked about this with Corey a bit. I get in that. I tried to do exactly what I do every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I fall into that, safe, repetitive mode, and then kind of just out-of-body experience thing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that as a drummer. With all four limbs going at different tempos.
It's all muscle memory, man.
That's amazing. So this, we're at the first show. We'll say the first show of like your new journey. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll hear how your journey progresses. So you guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Beau here to talk to you about a little company called Sticker Mule. These people make all sorts of stickers, card decals, even coasters with your business name, your logo, or catchphrases on them. Hell, even if you want to have just your face on a coaster for like a birthday party or something, they'll do that too. They have so many different options, like different shapes, colors, and filters to get you exactly what you want. They'll even die cast a custom shape so your sticker is exactly what you're looking for. Now, Sticker Mule has great customer service, and once I approved the proofs of my stickers, they were here in less than a few days. I love them, and I'm super proud to give them out. I'm getting great feedback on them. So if you need some promotional material for whatever you're doing, and you're trying to stay within an affordable budget, I highly suggest you visiting stickermule.com and checking them out. Thanks a lot, and now back to the show. And we're back. Still Beau Roblee here with Joey. We were, just before we left on break, we were talking about, your resurgence in music. Let's say your rebirth as a metal drummer coming out. We had your first show there. That being such a high point in your musical career. Mm-hmm. The next couple of years, playing shows, a lot of shows in Slaughterhouse.
We played a lot of shows.
All over the Fraser Valley and Greater Vancouver area. I know we did a lot of Iron Road shows, which was very special.
A lot of after hours, yeah. That was a fun place. If you don't know what Iron Road Studio was,
missed out.
You missed out.
Iron Roads was an after hours club /
it was like
recording
a booze
studio.
can / yeah.
But yeah, we played a lot of shows there. I think we started around 2.
I think that was our first Vancouver show, actually.
Was
an Iron Road Studio show.
And we started at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, something like that. There's 3 bands. I think it opened at 2.
And we went on last at around 5. Yeah, that was a special night. So yeah, the next couple of years were filled with that.
Lots of fun. Lots of drinking.
The journey kind of changed. I fell ill.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did get better, I didn't really have the drive to come back. I really didn't feel the push. I was pretty sick for a while. I didn't really want to go into that again. And so I took a step back, and that's kind of when your journey shifted a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you left. We canceled a couple shows because of your health, and we weren't really sure what we were going to do at that point. We weren't sure if you were coming back, if you could. I think you did play one after.
Yeah, I think I came back for 1, maybe 2 shows.
Yeah.
But I know the one show I did was just because I wanted to play with Anchoress.
Yes.
That was they're a band I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
So that was big. And what else was that show?
Witch of the Waste was on that bill too, I think. Eterna.
Yes, Eterna. That was the other. So I know I came back for that show solely because of my love for those bands.
Mm-hmm.
Those were 3 bands that I respected, and they were real to me, so I knew I had to do those ones. But even those shows didn't kick me in the pants enough to really want to do this anymore. Yeah. So I knew it was done for me, for at least for that specific project. So I left. There was a little bit of a transition period. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I don't really remember how it started or how long we waited after you. I think Lindsay talked to Maddie, who was kind of floating around at the time. Great vocalist, a friend of ours, and I think he just jumped on board. And then it started out really well. Actually, we got back into the shows. We had like a new sound.
Vastly. Like a faster, I'd say more punch in the face kind of vibe. He has a very specific vocal range.
Yes.
Phenomenal. The guy, light years ahead of me.
Yes.
Thanks, man.
No, I love you to death, and I loved you being in the band.
He was really talented, and so I do feel the band did have a brush more professionalism with him out front.
I think we stood out a little more. Yes, yeah, for sure.
And I can say that. I can talk bad about myself. You're not really supposed to say that. So you have new energy in the band. Probably a rejuvenated energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you feel it, or were you kind of starting to drag ass a little bit?
Well, I was definitely into it.
I don't mean that derogatorily.
No.
Like your love of what you were doing.
I was definitely into it. I loved the sound. We recorded a lot of tracks. It was sounding really good. We got good responses. We were playing lots of shows. But I think the dynamics in the band changed when you left. So I think when Maddie came in, there was a bit of butting heads because as the vocalist, as the frontman, I think he he wanted to grab the bull by the horns, and he wanted to do it his way, which was totally fine.
And probably more often how most bands are perceived to be doing it, as like the pseudo face of the band, to be the representation. I have an ugly face. Yours is much cuter. So it made more sense for us, but I could see how Maddie, coming from a more conventional setup, might feel that's part of his domain.
I think we had a good group dynamic going into it. It was always a consensus. I think when Maddie came in at the time, me and him definitely butted heads. I still love the dude. We get along to this day. No hard feelings at all. But I think working together at the time was hard for both of us.
See, I find this is a big thing with a lot of bands, is you're a group of friends, and then you do have to switch to some level of professionalism. I think it feels the same way of like opening up a business with a group of friends. There does have to be a certain hierarchy. It's hard to have a 5-headed boss in the sense of most musical acts.
It looks like 5 girlfriends.
Yeah, it is a relationship. And I think it's something that's really overlooked when you start a musical group, that you are in close proximity. You're all piecing together your art, your personal expression of whatever you're trying to express, which is a difficult thing to do. You don't see, murals being painted by 5 different artists with 5 different visions. I think it's something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It's how socially difficult it is to be in a band. Do you feel that has helped you in other aspects of your life, like the dealing with it, or did the outside life kind of shape how you acted in the band?
I think with dealing with that many different personalities in close proximity, I think there's a way you should word things when you're dealing creatively with a group of people. Like
a certain level of tact you need to have.
You need to be things. Like, hey, how about this? What do you think about this? How about if, just the way you word things, I think.
So you felt it was a bit more, the dynamic shifted and your opinion wasn't being as heard as loudly. It was more important to certain other people.
I think so. I think when we started Slaughterhouser, it was drink beers, have fun.
Yes.
But I think when Maddie jumped on board, we were starting to fit in.
Definitely.
We were fitting in.
I would say in the Valley, you guys actually like, one of the forefronts.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of bands that were excited to play with you guys.
So I think once we got into that, our goal was to play the bigger local music festivals.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Like to play Loud as Hell, to play Armstrong Metal Fest, to play some of the cooler events.
For sure.
Not just, playing
the dive bars.
Yeah. Like the Wolf where we started and stuff, which was cool when we started. But I think eventually our goal was to play those. Yes.
Got it.
And that was about the ceiling. I think that was the ceiling, was to at least play the festival. So I think when Maddie joined, he had a vision, and we were getting there. We were doing good, but I think, like you said, I kind of lost my energy.
Yeah, I'm not trying to step on you at all. Like I watched it all from the outside at this point. I knew you when you were 100% in it, and I could tell just by being around you at certain practices that you were no longer 100%.
Yep.
I'm not saying it was all on you, but I did sense. I mean, there was a lot of other things going on in your life at that time.
Oh yeah.
So I understand that. I could see it a little bit on the wall. This probably wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, no, I was having relationship problems. We were trying to start a family. My focus was more work and trying to set up my family.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's both my worlds collided at that point.
You were getting stretched pretty thin.
Yes. I was, bailing on practices. I wasn't completely into it because now I had to make sure my baby mama was happy, my bandmates were happy. I was being pulled from both sides. I didn't have a lot of time between work and everything. So at this point, we were accepted to Loud as Hell. Loud as Hell Music Festival, and this was a big deal. Out in Drumheller, and this was the goal. And the thing was, Loud as Hell was going to be a couple weeks after my daughter would have been born.
So time crunch.
So this was honestly one of the hardest decisions in my life. And at the time, Maddie and I were button heads. New music, new ideas. You know, we played The Wolf. There was a new song at the time. I didn't want to play it. I think we jammed it for a couple weeks. I didn't want to play it.
You didn't feel prepared to do that.
No. So at that show, I think it was that day, he goes, well, we're playing the new one. So I said, okay. And I remember I was sharing a drum set that night. But the drum set, the drummer, he was a left-handed drummer. So I get behind this drum set and it's all fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm going, okay, we're playing the new song on this fucking thing? All right. And it was kind of a humdrum show. We opened. No one was really into it. The crowd was sitting down. It wasn't a Slaughterhouser energy kind of show.
Wasn't the vibe, you know.
So I remember that we go through the new one and I just fucking bomb it. I wasn't there mentally with it. I was already like fuck.
Yeah,
we're doing this.
You didn't want to play it. You know, you weren't happy about it, and then again, know you Joey a little bit, so there's a little bit of pettiness in you.
Yeah.
And not that you would sabotage anything on purpose, but you need to be behind things you do 100%.
I need to be 100% mentally into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much you.
You know, the story I've told so far right now, if I'm not into it, it's not going to go well.
So bad show, it goes down.
It goes bad. So after that show, Maddie and we had a bit of a falling out. So a little bit after this is when we were accepted for Loud as Hell. So I remember sitting there texting Maddie back and forth, and he goes, well, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, man. I'm supposed to leave my kid that's going to be a couple weeks old, deal with my old lady, and just leave for this show. Like, I want to do it. I really want to do it, but I don't think I can.
And a festival's not something you reschedule.
No.
We do this or we don't do this.
So he said, well, we can get a replacement drummer. And that kind of, that stuck me, man. This was, in my mind, my baby. That was my dream, my goal, my ceiling of achievement that I wanted to obtain. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to doing it. Because if I did, I'd be in shit at home.
So that's a hard decision for anyone to make.
So I quit.
So you walked away.
I quit.
How'd that feel? Like, all honesty, like you leave, it's your decision.
Honestly, I broke down in tears that day, for sure. No, it was one of the hardest things. I regretted it instantly. But to this day, I stand by my decision. And honestly, I took 3.5 years off after that. I didn't play at all.
So another pretty rocks you to your core situation with music. And was it the same situation? You put the drumsticks on a shelf and they gathered dust. That's it.
But Slaughterhouser kept going.
When your first show, not like that they had that you attended, how'd that make you feel? We don't have to go into too much detail, but like, what did it? It sucks. I left on my own accord too, and it's still it's a surreal, gut wrenching thing to watch. Something that you thought you helped create.
Watching somebody else play the parts you wrote.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird, man. And the first one, I think I did see Reese stepped on drums. I did watch Reese play once.
Yeah, Reese
is a phenomenal drummer. So nothing against Reese, but it felt weird to me. But Reese didn't do it for long, and I do remember the first time I watched Travis, he came on drums. So watching Travis play was a little bit more my style of drumming. So watching him play, because he was a really good friend of mine too, that was okay. But it was still weird, obviously.
It's someone else wearing your underwear, man. It's a strange... Even if it's from all happened with the best of intentions, that was your baby.
And at this point, Maddie and I were still not friendly with each other.
Yeah, you were still on rough patch.
So there was some things transpired and whatever. But watching something that you were a part in that meant so much to you, and you just standing in the front row again and not playing, it hurt me a bit. But I think I wasn't completely supportive of it until Slaughterhouser played their last show.
That was a sad day too, but I did feel like it was, there was closure that night. I felt.
Honestly, that was a great night. As much as I wasn't in Slaughterhouser at that time, I think that was one of the better shows. A great highlight for that band. You were on stage with them that night.
There was nothing but love in that room that night. And I would say it still ended on a high note.
Yes, for sure. But I was also happy Slaughterhouser ended. I'm not going to lie to you, I was.
Yeah. It's no longer your thing. You put something you love to bed.
Mm-hmm. And then since after Slaughterhouser ended, I think everyone went off in their own separate directions, and I think we're all doing pretty good now.
Speaking of that, 4 years down the road of raising your daughter, you were approached by a couple old members of bands, 2 different bands you played in.
Yeah, Dan and Corey.
What are we? So this leads to now. What are we working on now?
Well, it was almost 2 years ago now. Dan and Corey showed up at my house one day randomly, and they said, "Well, how do you feel about getting back into it? We want to do something else," but they wanted to see what I was doing and if I could do it. And I said, "You know what? Okay, it's been 3.5 years, and I don't know if I could do it anymore, but I miss it.
Yeah.
I missed it so much, man.
You'll give it the college try."
Yeah. And yeah, so that's how me, Corey, and Dan started. We brought Lindsay on board. Again, also former Slaughterhouser. We brought Trevor in, who actually played in Slaughterhouser at the end.
So you got a couple members you got Dan from your first band.
Yeah.
For first foray into music.
Yeah.
You got a couple guys from your second foray into music.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting together, and what do all those pieces make up right now?
And then it kind of morphed into something. We spent a long time coming up with a name and stuff, but we kind of more into the black metal, death metal thing. I'm not playing the same kind of stuff as I did in Slaughterhouser. I learned a lot more metal techniques. I've actually been practicing a lot more. I actually rented an electronic drum set for a while at the beginning of this, and just practiced. Because, with my daughter in the house all the time, I couldn't really couldn't play the acoustic set anymore, but, I set up the electronic set.
They do have their perks.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and I played a lot. So starting into it, I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. So it eventually turned into what now we call Plague Doctor.
Fitting name for this time in the world right now.
Wow, it happened before all this.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear. We're not like,
They're not cutting in on a terrible thing in the world.
No, and I didn't feel bad about that.
The name had been around for a year or so before this happened.
Yes, we probably practiced for about 10 months before we played our first show.
Yeah, and which is a lot when considering every member in that band has probably a good 50 to 100 under their belts.
We decided, because like we said earlier about Slaughterhouser, we rushed into it.
Yeah.
So we said, if we're doing this, we're going to keep it, our lips closed right now. And just practice.
It was hush. I remember
practice.
The first time I went to go check you guys out, it was like no one else had been there.
Yeah, no, we didn't really tell anybody.
There had been no one outside of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hush hush. It was a well-kept secret.
Honestly, for the little amount of time we all have, we make it count right now.
Okay, so less practice, but more focused.
Yes, definitely.
How have you guys been handling this pandemic?
Played our second show right as this pandemic was starting.
Yeah, right in the middle of March, right?
Right, like March 13th.
Yeah, and so lockdown happened 18th. So it was pretty close to
the point where we were thinking, do we cancel this show? It was at the point where I think the first shows in Vancouver were getting canceled that day.
Yeah, the first. It was a game time decision for you guys.
Yeah.
You went forward though.
Yeah. Played with Neck of the Woods and Truett.
But that show, doing Neck of the Woods album release, is a pretty big deal.
It was
like if you're at all in the local metal scene, if you're into Neck of the Woods, is a big deal. Like, they are a quality act
for sure.
So playing their album release is a big deal.
And I think that night we definitely hung with the boys, and we probably wouldn't have been able to do that if we haven't pulled our pants up like we have been doing recently. Just writing, just practicing, just keeping it simple, not playing a lot of shows like Slaughterhouser did.
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Yeah. During this pandemic, we've been, we took a couple months off.
Of course, yeah, there was no connection.
We weren't sure. And then, so lately we have been writing. We have a couple new ones on the way. We all write pretty good together. Dan's got his own style. Trevor's got his own style. We mash them together, with my drumming and Lindsay on vocals. We're all doing it together, and I'm super happy with how it's going.
So where do people keep in touch with this? Where do they hear news about what's coming up for Plague Doctor?
Oh, well, all we got right now is just our Facebook page.
Okay.
Plague Doctor. We have nothing recorded now. We were planning on doing it, but now because of all
change
this
dynamic,
stuff,
the whole world's in a different situation.
We're still planning on something. We definitely need to get some stuff recorded. We have some cool videos after our last couple shows on our Facebook page. If you don't know, we do the full Plague Doctor mask while we play. You don't see my drum faces now.
Yeah,
though.
none of Joey's drum faces,
No.
but Joey's as close to the Muppet animal as a human being can be. So I don't think his face is all that important to tell what he's thinking. His body language is very specific, and that I can close my eyes and see what face he's making underneath that mask. He's an entertaining creature to watch.
But I'll tell you though, playing with masks, that was my idea.
Yeah,
because Lindsay came up with the name, and we're like, hey, that's pretty cool. So it took months until we settled on Plague Doctor.
and so you've built I don't like the word shtick, but like a persona around the band.
I like the word shtick.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go with shtick.
See, I like bands like Gwar and Slipknot and stuff like that.
They stand out.
So I figured, we weren't sure going into it. I'm like, if we're doing this, why not dress
Let's go all the way.
Let's try it. And it was honestly the guys weren't on board, and I might get in shit for saying this, but yeah, no, I was the only one pushing this. And finally, like, even leading up to the first show, Lindsay's like, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm like, fuck you are. So I found him a mask.
Joey's becoming the boss. We see it makes all the sense now.
So, it was probably a couple days before the first show and convinced him to do it. I think he wore it for 2 songs. But the rest of us fucking wore it for the whole set. I think the reaction, people think it looks cool.
They are quality masks.
Yeah.
So I feel, even for a local show, it's cool to see a stage persona. As much as a local show is about music, it's also a visual component.
Yeah.
I don't have headphones in, listening to you on an MP3 player. I am watching you. So visual is important. And I think you guys kill it. I honestly
Thank
do.
you.
I can't emphasize enough how good and professional you guys look.
Thanks.
Knowing all you idiots and knowing what's on stage and seeing what's on stage, it's really good. You guys are killing it.
No, thank you. I remember when you were the first one to come check out us jam, and we were all kind of a little nervous because we were like, well, we've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
We don't know. And then your reaction was great. You're like, no, guys, that was unbelievable.
I saw my friends being happy and playing good music, and it made me feel good. And that's really so much of what you guys are. People have fun with you. You are fun to be around. Any near future plans? Or are we just kind of winging it until the world's in a little more settled situation?
Yeah, we had a couple shows get canceled because of the thing. We were going to play our first Vancouver show. So that got canceled, I guess. Postponed or probably canceled. So yeah, honestly, we were just kind of in limbo, just writing.
So just plugging away at home?
Yeah. No, we still practice twice a week.
We expect great things when it does come out, and I have no doubt that you guys will deliver. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you very much for
once
having
again,
me.
This is Joey Dudas. He is the drummer of Plague Doctor. Good close friend of mine. Joey, love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. This was fun.
And for you guys, this has been Locally Sourced Jams. Don't know when the episode will come out. I don't know how often these will come out. This is more just done for my own sake. Recording on July 4th, so happy birthday, Mom. I'll see you for dinner in a little bit here. And until next time, you guys, stay sweet, stay local.